Hi everyone. Thanks for having me along for this session. My name's Cameron Rutter and I am the University Copyright Officer here at QUT. I work in the Office for Scholarly Communication team that's within the QUT Library. And I work closely with our Scholarly Communications librarian and our repository team and liaison librarians to support open access at QUT. Before I start, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands where QT stands. QT acknowledges the Turrbal and Yagara peoples as the First Nations owners of the lands where QT now stands. We pay respect to their elders, laws, customs, and creation spirits, and recognise that these lands have always been places of teaching, research, and learning. And QT acknowledges the important role Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people play within the QT community. Um, Rights retention at QT does have a relatively long history. We have had an IP policy in place at QT for a number of years, which outlines essentially that QT owns all of the intellectual property created by staff in the course of their employment. And in particular, in regards to scholarly outputs, the university grants staff a non-exclusive, royalty-free, perpetual, irrevocable, worldwide, transferable right to publish, reproduce, perform, communicate, adapt, or modify their scholarly works. And so this gives academics the freedom to choose where they publish and also to sign publishing agreements. But this is a non-exclusive right, and it does not extinguish the university's right to hold and communicate their accepted manuscript versions of these works in our institutional repository. And I've got links here to our IP and open access policies, but I won't go live with those. Um, but essentially, we've aligned our IP policy and our open access policy over many years. We have had an open access policy in place since 2003, so we're pretty early in this space. It was updated. It's been updated a number of times. In 2018, it was updated to indicate that AMs would be made available under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial license. And embargo periods were still accommodated up to a certain point. However, in 2023, the policy was updated to indicate that scholarly works would be available immediately under a CC BY license. We also took a strategy around having and promoting rights retention statements that should be included either in the cover letter or in the manuscript in a appropriate section. I've got the wording here from our rights retention statement, and this statement is in the policy itself, as you can see here, and we have provided information to our researchers in our intranet, and this is also part of the training that we do deliver to researchers around open access and scholarly publishing. However, we have had, I guess, we've noticed and monitored relatively low uptake or engagement with our rights retention statement approach, despite it being in the policy, this being communicated. Um, we we feel there's probably a number of potential barriers, and so far our repository team have only seen a small handful of AAMs which have a rights retention statement, and in some cases the published version was already in an OA journal, and in some other cases the statement may have been included by an external co-author whose receipt of a European grant, which maybe say Plan S, covered by Plan S. Some of the potential barriers for including rights retention statements could be, I guess, some author hesitancy, maybe around a fear of rejection from publisher. There's also, I guess, technical barriers where publisher agreements are often a click-through web form, which don't provide the ability to add a rights retention statement. There's also potential for a lack of understanding of our institutional policies and rights and a real understanding of what our IP policy states. So, given the work that we've done over the years with our IP policy and updates to our open access policy, what are our next steps? So, we're currently investigating a more proactive approach to rights retention that does not rely on rights retention statements from authors. So, this will involve members from our Office for Scholarly Communications team consulting with some key stakeholders within the university. We will, I guess, seek to have a look at our IP policy and review the wording, which is there around the copyright and scholarly works. And I guess overall, with this, looking to align our approach with the ARC funded research and resulting recommendations conducted by Professor Kathy Bowery et al. And this ARC project is titled Producing, Managing, and Owning Knowledge in the 21st Century University. We'll also be reviewing our open access policy this year and looking very much to align it with our IP policy and what the outcomes are from our investigation around rights retention, but also uh, looking to very much improve guidance relating to the licensing of outputs um, involving Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and communities and their ICIP or Indigenous Cultural Intellectual Property. Um, Aligning with the recent ARC, NHMRC, MRF, OA policies, and also looking to provide more guidance on open book publishing. So thanks for listening. That's, I guess, a current state of play where we are at QT. Thank you very much.